Hey everyone, I kind of wanted to do a video, and first and foremost, thank you all for your prayers. Thank everybody who has donated to my GoFundMe account for this new battle of ovarian cancer. And I kind of want to give you my story now because my last story, of course, was from 2015. So catching you up to what's current, I basically first started having symptoms as early as September of 2016. It actually started with my inflammation levels being high, which I didn't learn that until after several blood tests later. I had issue where I would have extreme headaches and I would wake up and my eye was like really red. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, pink eye. I go to the eye doctor finally. I hate doctors, by the way. But I go to the eye doctor finally, and he's like, oh, you have uveitis. Well, what is this? I've never heard of it. And they run some blood tests, and like, well, your inflammation level is way out there, which is like a C-reactive protein that they test for and one other test. But the tests were like 48 and 20 when it's supposed to be much, much lower, like way lower. Anyway, they give me steroid drops. The steroid drops eventually heal my eye, but it never went away because I had sensitivity to light. I couldn't be outside without the light hurting my eyes. My migraines were fierce, and they weren't giving anything for the pain for the migraines. So I was basically suffering with steroid drops and migraines. And he upped my dosage to a different steroid drop, which was not quite covered by insurance. So it was $85 for a bottle that was like about this size. And I had to drop drops in my eye 4 times a day, each eye. So fast forward a bit, there was nothing else he could do for me. He referred me to a rheumatologist here in Atlanta. Went to the rheumatologist. Well, the first appointment I missed because I got lost. Fast forward to December, when I went to the rheumatologist, they ran the same test again. They're testing for immune diseases, if I have AIDS, syphilis, lupus, arthritis, basically every autoimmune disease you can think of. They're testing me for it to see why am I still having these problems. She basically told me at that time, I do not think you have arthritis because your symptoms seem strange. And I'll get to my symptoms in a moment. So she did more blood tests. Those blood tests came back. The inflammation is still high. I'm still having issues. And just to go down the list of issues, there was a point in time where I was vomiting bile, which is green. When it's green, it's coming from your liver. There was a point in time where, and these symptoms vary, like they come and they go. Some days I feel good and other days I feel like I've been hit by a Mack truck. I get neuropathy, pins and needles all over, and that's just an annoyance, but bearable. But I'll get extreme cramps and Charlie horses in the middle of my thigh, in my feet, in my legs, my arms. By the way, I was tested for diabetes. I don't have diabetes. And these pains sometimes will be horrific. And the only person I've cried to for months is my best friend, LaDonna. And she kept saying I should maybe see what my doctors in Birmingham think, what the oncologists think. I should report my symptoms. So I started writing all my symptoms down. So we have severe headaches. We have vomiting bile. We have ridiculous muscle spasms and cramps, which will range from anywhere in my body, really, especially my stomach. And when I have these spasms, I can't move, I can't do anything. Pelvic cramps that were just ridiculous. But what really keyed me into, I was just like, you know what? I just had that feeling, and I'm not going to cry. I promise myself I ain't going to cry. I had that feeling that it was back, and I had vaginal bleeding. And the reason why I know I shouldn't have that is because I don't have periods anymore. I had a full hysterectomy after having Hayden in 2014 when they discovered cancer for the second time. So I request to have my blood results. I had that sent over to Alabama. I had it faxed over. And I was like, should I move my appointment up from March to, as soon as possible? And Dr. Barnes, he scheduled my appointment like, okay, we're going to do a CT scan. And he had me come into his office. We did a regular checkup. He was like, everything feels fine. You look well. It's probably just, you've had so many surgeries, scar tissue, what have you. And I'll see you again in a year. Maybe 4 or 5 days later, my results for my CT scan were available online. I'm not gonna cry. Needless to say, I was floored. I was at work when I read it, and this was before the doctor called me, and I saw the results basically before they could tell me the results. And my chemotherapist told me that's not how it's supposed to happen. So many things ran through my mind. I knew at least the day before I told anybody. The only person I told immediately was, again, my best friend Lil Donna, because I was like, what am I gonna do this time? I'm sorry, you guys. It's a lot to, people think I'm strong, and I am, but I pray I do, but it is a lot to know that you gotta fight this thing one more time. But it's like a relief, and then it's like a curse, because it's like, that all these symptoms, these things that are happening to you, it wasn't just in your mind, and here it is on paper. And I pulled up my CT scan so I can read it to you guys. And yes, I've become my own advocate to be my own doctor, because if you don't keep up with your paperwork, and if you don't know what's going on with you, the doctors sometimes will just give you the light version or the basics. They don't tell you, oh, this is what's going on. So when Dr. Barnes called me on that Friday, he was like, we're referring you over to see Dr. Burgos, who's my chemotherapy hematologist, oncologist. And that was it. He didn't explain why we're not going to do a surgery. He was like, Avastin, that's the drug I'm going to tell you about in a moment. That's the best drug for you to do at this time. Schedule a consultation with her. And, he apologized. He was like, because initially, just a few days before, he said I was fine and I would see him in a year because he didn't foresee any issues. Well, viewers, I have medical issues. So the contrast that they do, which is a CT abdomen and pelvis contrast, it read as follows, that they compared it to my January 11, 2016 exam, and there were several new low density but solid nodules. And nodules, for everybody that doesn't know, they were basically small tumors. So, not to read all of it in detail because it's kind of lengthy, but on average, they're about 2.2 centimeters, so about this big. So, yeah, that's about right. So, tumors about this size and length. Okay, see, like that. And they're ranging in different places. I have one that's at the base of the mesenteric root, for, again, people who wouldn't know what that was ordinarily, because even I did not. I had to Google what is a mesenteric root. It's basically at the base of the rectum, at the end of the colon. And when I went to go see Dr. Burgos, she covered it as well. So maybe it's been now almost 2 weeks that I went to see Dr. Burgos on a Tuesday, I think it was. No, it was a Monday. Time feels like it's just slowing down for me at this point. But I went to see Dr. Burgos, and it was me, my grandmother, and Hayden. And that's when she explained the CT scan. And I was like, I need to know why he didn't suggest surgery. And you guys, when she read that to me, it's like it took my whole being to sit there and not cry. But because my daughter was there and my grandmother's there, and everybody again thinks I'm a strong person. But it's like I felt like she was reading like this awful like sentence, like a life sentence, and it's like I can't escape it. But the tumors are basically near major organs like my liver, my kidneys, near my gallbladder, but they're in places that it's hard to operate. If it was one big tumor in one spot that was difficult, they could maybe work around it and they could remove it safely without any complications. With it being near my colon and right there, basically too many things could go wrong to where she feels like Dr. Barnes could have safely operated. So I asked her, well, knowing what we know, am I going to see remission this time? And she was like, I have to be honest with your history. You know, Avastin is going to cut off the blood supply to the tumors. That's why I'm going to take that drug. But it's not a guarantee for remission. And even if you see remission, we can't guarantee that it won't come back. Because although a granulosa cell tumor is not known to be aggressive, your history proves that yours is persistent with recurring. And it's not like epithelial, I hope I'm saying that right, cancer type that is aggressive. It does grow fast. It can spread to many places. In my case, mine is hormonal, and it may grow back slowly, but in that time frame that it's growing back slowly, it can pretty much be anywhere in the body. It can grow wherever it like, and that's what makes it stage so quickly, because if undetected with simple symptoms like, oh, you think you just have gastritis, or oh, the doctor said you just have migraines, and are not putting the things together because you got symptoms to bother your head, symptoms that are bothering your stomach, symptoms that would make it seem like you have diabetes. If you're not paying attention, it's everywhere. And I'm happy that I caught it to where it's just several tumors instead of just, in my lungs and everywhere. And they did they tested for metastasis in my lungs, and they said that there were no lung lesions identified. My gallbladder, spleen, and pancreas, they were all intact and unremarkable, which unremarkable means that it's good. There is an enlarged lymph node, which they feel like the reason why it's worsening, which means it's growing or it's swollen, is because of the cancer that's in my peritoneal area, which is basically lower stomach, pelvic area. And it's very possible that there are tumors within the lymph node itself, which is why it's enlarged, but it's hard for them to know unless they actually do a surgery. There are 2 tumors, which is where I get the stomach cramps that are like right in here. So there are times when it feels like an extreme Charlie horse, like just grasping in my side. And I have to just try and rub it out. But I have to be as relaxed as possible, because the more that I try to stretch, it just tenses up. But those are the ones that I can feel. And she said basically they're within the layers of tissue that's beneath the skin. So that's why I feel those more, even though they're only about 2 centimeters each. Those would probably cause more pain than others because of where they are. as of now, on a daily basis, the things I experience the most is like I have migraines, severe nausea, but I have Zofran for the nausea. I have Lortabs for the pain, and I have ridiculous constipation. Sorry if it's too much information, but just want to let you guys know everything that has happened thus far. And I know on the outside that I probably look like, healthy, like great. But a lot of days it's a task to get through the day because you can't just call in sick because you have cancer, because you have bills, life goes on, Hayden needs me, so I still have to push forward. And that's part of why I started, excuse me, I'm getting choked up. It's part of why I started this fund, because previously I did have Aflac, which is a cancer policy. And when I was out of work for months at a time on my previous occurrences, I had something to help float me over. I have this short-term disability, but honestly, short-term disability only covers a percentage of your actual pay. But with hospital bills, which, thank the Lord, Wells Fargo has a program that helped cover my hospital bill the last time. And then Aflac helped me to be able to pay, just the basics like rent and make sure I could buy groceries and pay for my medications because I had to take steroids with the last chemotherapy. I mean, it was a help. It was a financial help, almost a financial crutch, if you will. But I let it lapse. But in letting it lapse, in between that time, they also came out with a new rule. Even though I've had the policy and they know I've had it for years, I cannot have the policy reinstated to where it would be a benefit for me until it's been 10 years since my last reoccurrence. Well, heck, I just had a recurrence in 2015, so that's out the window. And I checked into life insurance policies. There's not a life insurance policy that will cover me except for the one I have through Wells Fargo, which is by default, which basically means I need to work forever. There's not a life insurance policy that will cover me for at least 2 years, except for what I paid into it should something happen to me before it reaches that 2-year wait period because I have cancer. So it's like, what are my options? And I figured the GoFundMe, if people, know my story, everyone will want, to help, because I refuse to give up, because I have Hayden. Even when they didn't think I could have kids, God blessed me with Hayden, and I'm not willing to give up. I'm not willing to stop fighting for that very most important reason. Even on the days when I feel bad, I know I have to keep pushing for Hayden, for us, because we're a team. Okay, so moving on. The medicine which was finally approved is called Avastin. Is basically a maintenance chemotherapy. What it does is, basically what Avastin does is it will cut off the blood supply that helps to, hold on a second. All right, I'm back. So basically what Avastin does is it helps cut off the blood supply from the tumors, and it'll help you maintain. It may shrink the tumors, but it's not a guarantee that it can rid your body of the tumors in its entirety. So I'm just going to pull up to go over what it is. So Avastin is normally recommended to do in combination with paclitaxel, which is a platinum type drug. It's basically for anyone that has platinum resistant or recurrent epithelial ovarian cancer. I have granulosa cell tumor cancer, and Dr. Burgos basically stated that we're trying it because there are not a lot of patients like me who have this type of cancer, and there aren't. I belong to a support group of women who are like myself, and there are a lot of us, but not as many as it is with the other primary cancers that exist for ovarian cancer. So it's hard to get a study, or it's hard to find just the right medicine that will keep us from having a recurrence or even cure us completely of the disease. So I encourage those who are not familiar to do your research. They really don't know the cause, and they don't have specific risk of how that type of cancer, or that type of tumor, I should say, comes about. But for Avastin therapy, it helps platinum resistant, and it can help platinum sensitive. And I'm considered platinum sensitive because I was able to stay in remission for more than 6 months. Now, going over, just trying to find you guys some information. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to pause you for a minute, because I'm trying to read the website and talk to you at the same time. Okay, I'm back. So, when compared to women who only received chemotherapy, adding Avastin was shown to significantly increase the length of time without tumors growing or spreading. So, notice it says nothing about getting rid of it. Just, it keeps it from growing or spreading, which is a good thing, because I am stage 3 ovarian cancer, and beyond that is advanced stage 4, and that would be once it advances beyond my intestines, if it was to, for example, spread to my kidneys or my lungs, which certainly do not want that. It also can shrink the size of tumors. And let's see. Trying to find you guys more information here. Now, how is it given? So, Avastin is given as an infusion, so it'll be through my IV port. And for those that didn't know before, I still have my port in. They never took it out. For good reason, because we all thought that this possibility could occur again, but hoped that it wouldn't. But here we are. Avastin infusions they'll basically be done in a doctor's office. So I'll go to the doctor's office. The first time I get it, it'll be about about 90 minutes. And Avastin would be given to me. I would get it every 3 weeks. The doctor had already told me, the same way I would get any other regular chemotherapy. And with the every 3 weeks infusion, how it goes is, I don't think I can flip the screen, but the first infusion is 90 minutes, the second infusion is 60 minutes, and the third and future infusions after that are 30 minutes. And that's because initially they give it to you slowly to see how your body will adjust or react to the drug. And by the time you've gotten to the third or fourth, if your body is acclimated to it, basically it should only take a 30-minute infusion. And that 30-minute dose actually will last you the 2 to 3 weeks. Now, the things that I'm afraid of course, are the side effects. The side effects that they see most often include high blood pressure, too much protein in your urine, nosebleeds, rectal bleeding, back pain, headaches, change in taste, but that happens with pretty much any chemo. The great thing is I will not lose my hair, although it says it may be some hair loss, but that just may be severe shedding. Inflammation of the skin, inflammation of the nose, watery eyes, dry skin, it is not for everyone. So they did mention somewhere that it could be neurological effects, which is an issue I had with Taxol. So that's why when I did the carboplatin and Taxol, I could only do Taxol for 2 rounds. And the other 2 rounds, we just did carboplatin by itself. I'm hoping this works because it's all I have to go on. I've done tamoxifen before, so I can't do another hormone-based drug because with tamoxifen, it was designed to block some hormones while still actually kind of aiding other hormones in the body. And tamoxifen basically was like adding fuel to a fire because that's how tumors grew so rapidly within a 6-month period versus me being in remission of a year and a half almost. And I had tumors the last time in my pelvic, which also ended up being in the lower part of my intestines, which is why part of my intestines were removed, but it wasn't too much to where I had to have a colostomy bag, which was a great thing, but that made it go from immediately stage 2 to a stage 3. So this is my story. This is where I am. For those who wonder the cost of Avastin, it's not as expensive as carboplatin or Taxol, which those run about 16 to 18,000, and that's per infusion. I saw my doctor bills before that were going to my health insurance, and they were astronomical. Avastin without any insurance is about 10 to 11,000, I believe, per infusion, which is why I initially started my GoFundMe at 10,000. My insurance just approved it this morning, which was great news. Now, approval does not mean what you think. It does not mean that 100% it is covered and I'm out of the woods. It just means that they cover 80% because that's how my insurance works. I have an HR plan, a HRA plan, so it covers 80% and 20% is out of pocket because it's considered an outpatient procedure. So if I'm not mistaken, out of pocket, I'll end up paying $3,500. That's just towards that specific getting the infusions. Outside of that, I'll still have to get regular blood tests, CT scans, and I hope that I hit the max, and then I think the rest is covered at 100%. That's till the end of the year. I have to take Avastin indefinitely because she said that's the best guarantee she can give me for, at this point, is to maintain so that I have more time, because there's not a guarantee now that they can get rid of it. I think that's the part that hurts, to know that it may never go away. And I just wanted to tell you guys my story. So I won't be doing surgery this time, most likely. I hope that I can start chemotherapy soon. I really wanted to hear some news from UAB that might could say they could operate and remove the tumors, but I don't want to risk it to where I do one more surgery and it doesn't work and it spreads and it's something doesn't work out. Because before I take that risk, I'd rather go through therapy and still be here with Hayden. I want the best quality of life possible that I can have with my daughter. I thank everybody for watching, for listening. I know that I've been rambling on about this for almost 30 minutes. I put it off this whole week, and I said I wasn't going to cry, but I did. I'm sorry. Just know that I'm strong. I refuse to give up. I've changed things in my diet to try and do better. And this is basically the disease that doesn't want to die, but neither do I. So I guess we're just going to have to keep fighting with each other. And I plan on winning. I do. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.